Hi, and welcome back to Dearest Enable podcast. I'm Liana.
I'm Kaza.
And I'm Maddie.
So today we'll be talking a bit about our prediction for the 2024 season. Let's just start maybe with what we predict for the teams.
Yeah. So, we can go through it team by team, which I think would be easier. But I think Red Bull, let's start there. As I say, one of the things I've seen is that Christian Horner said that he expects the other teams to catch up with them. Obviously, they've reached that peak very quickly. And although they can get better and they've been working developing the car, he does expect other teams to catch up with them a bit and close that grid a bit, which I think is quite interesting because obviously we've seen the dominance that they've had. And if himself has said that they expect the team to close up a bit, I think that that'll be quite interesting to watch.
Yeah, I kind of think McLaren will be that team, maybe. But Ferrari, I don't think that much. It will be maybe, I hope, better than the last season, but I think McLaren is the more rival on this.
I really agree with that because I really think the competitor for Red Bull this year will most likely be McLaren, because with Mercedes losing Hamilton and Ferrari having Hamilton but in a car that it doesn't really know, it gives much space to McLaren to be better.
I don't know. I think for me, McLaren, I think they're a good team, but I just don't think they have it at the moment. Regulation changes in 2026 might cause something different, but at this point, I feel like the team itself just doesn't have quite what it has to become one of the top contenders. Partly because they had a rookie last year and Oscar was absolutely amazing, but I think that also he didn't have the grips with things like tyre degradation and all of these different aspects, which I think he will do much better this year and the team will do better overall. But I can't quite see them being one of the top contenders.
Yeah, same. I think they will be closer than the previous year, but I think Red Bull will still have this dominance.
Yeah, I think we can agree that next year there's not too much hope about someone else's than Red Bull winning the championship, because the car is ready since a lot of time and they still have Max. And even if we can say whatever we want about Checo, he's a good driver, and even though he can lose his seat, he still is a good driver and he still helps the team. So
I think that's a common theme with the Red Bull second drivers, though. They're good drivers, they just don't stand up to Max, and that makes them look a lot worse than they actually are.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about Mercedes? I'm just going to try to do this in order of the constructors last year to make this easy.
Mercedes, the main question with Mercedes, no, we're talking 2024, not 2025.
Yeah.
I was about to say who's gonna replace. Oh my god, I have to think 2024 and not 2025. So everything I said earlier is totally wrong.
It's hard to just not skip because of everything that's happened. Your brain just naturally goes that year.
Yeah, normally the announcers are not before the start of the season. So I don't know, because Mercedes will not really give Lewis every pieces he needs. I don't know if you understand what I mean, like the development pieces.
Yeah. I get that. I think the thing is that they've obviously got James Allison back this year, and I know I've talked a bit about this with you on the chat and everything. So he did Ferrari, like Schumacher's like big 2000s cars at Ferrari. He did, I think, Alonso's cars, and also he's done a lot of Hamilton's dominant Mercedes cars. So I know he's a good designer, and for the last 2 years, which are the 2 years they've done fairly badly compared to what they were before, were the years that they had someone else taking in that role. So I think it was Mike Elliott, and now Mike Elliott's left, they're back to James Allison. So I think it'll be interesting to see sort of, will that make a difference in itself, because they've got a new car designer and someone who knows a bit more what they're doing to design a good car, especially against someone like Adrian Newey over at Red Bull, who is one of the best designers that the sport's ever seen. So I think that it will be really interesting to see where their car goes, although with the whole Hamilton situation, it does beg the question of, was the car that bad?
Do you have anything else to add on Mercedes? I think
Not from my heart.
no. So then it's Ferrari.
Yes.
What do we think of this particular year?
I don't know what to think. It's difficult. I mean, everything seems to be happening for them next year, so it feels like this is almost a trial and error year for them before they move into 2025 and everything happens. So I really don't know what to expect. I know it's the same with Mercedes. They've said they're scrapping half of the last year's car and they're redoing everything. So how much of a difference that'll make, I don't know.
Yes, and they also said it won't be a championship winner car. So
Yeah.
Even they know it.
I think they're putting their hopes forwards a bit. I mean, these regulation changes are going to come in handy for every team but Red Bull, I think, at this point, because they'd have the serious advantage in this regulation.
Yeah, and I think, I know I'm not impartial because I will be talking about Carlos. But maybe this year he'll try to fight even harder, just because he's not the, I think, I don't know him, but he's not the kind of people that just give up.
No.
And it's not because it's his last year that he will not try his best, and I think he will even try to do even better, because he wants the other teams to notice him, and he wants to say, hey, I'm here, I can conduct well. Last year I was the only non-Rebel winner, and I think even if it's his last year in Ferrari, I would not be surprised that he wins the race this season.
Asian era is coming.
Clearly.
I hope, because he can do it. It will be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I think he'll want to prove himself, definitely. I have no doubts about that. So it'll be nice to obviously see him giving it one last big push before he ends up in whatever team he ends up in. But it just whatever that car is will be the question.
Yeah, yeah, McLaren. I was.
Oh,
about
sorry.
to
Were
say
you going to say something?
No, I was about to say let's go to McLaren, because I think we're good for Ferrari. I think we said everything we needed to say. So, McLaren.
Yes. I mean, McLaren, they've shown improvement. So there's a good sign. The opposite of Aston Martin, really. A bit of a dig there. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. They've now got 2 solid drivers, which are going to be with them for a while. So I think they've got a good team basis there. I mean, if we're just talking about the uniform, have you seen the new race suits? But I mean, they've gone for a very unique approach this year. I think they're going to try put the attention on them, and I don't know how that will work out, if I'm being honest. I mean, they've done everything off the books. They've gone and released, like, deleted all their social media, released everything early. It's a bit all over the place in that sense, and I think that's because they want the attention. That they think that they need sort of everyone to be looking at them. And either that's going to work really well for them because they're going to have a lot of attention, sponsors, things like that, or it's going to be that they put too much focus into their media presence and not enough into racing in the car, and it does them in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched everything being delayed and everything, like everyone, I mean, a lot of people, I thought about McLaren going full Taylor Swift and pulling on Reputation and everything. And I was like, okay, that's going to bring a lot of people. That even brought my sister, that is not to F1. She was like, oh my God, McLaren is a Swiftie. And I think that's going to brought a lot of people there and going to brought sponsors, like you said. It's going to brought, like, I mean, everyone. But it's not that much about performance this year. It's if not about communication.
Yeah, for the car is a big question to me, because I think it will be a really, really good car or a really, really bad car. So I don't have any idea how it is will going, but maybe we will see in the 2024 season the same. They will start a bit weaker, but
Crossing fingers.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. The
Cool.
thing that I think is that they've shown that they can improve the car, and they've shown that towards the end of the season. And the question is, whereas Ferrari and Mercedes weren't happy with their car, they've scrapped it, they're starting anew. Will McLaren have gone, actually, our car did well at the end, we're going to put our car basis off of what we finished with and not redo a lot of their parts? Or are they going to scrap the whole thing again and start over? Because if they continue with the car that they have at the moment and just adapt it slightly, they might end up having just another midfield car, because that's where it ended up. But if they start over, they might end up destroying all of their work and having a worse car. So it'll be interesting to see, obviously, the take that they go for.
Definitely. It can be both ends, whether really bad, whether really good. Like you say, Kata, there is no in between, like.
Yeah. What about Aston Martin?
Last season I became really fan of them.
Ooh.
I don't really know why, but I mean, I think it's the drivers, not the car, obviously. But I really hope for the best, but I don't know what to expect from them, because even with the same car during the season, they can be at their really, really low and at their best, because Fernando Alonso did a podium. So it's the same car, but what happened between, I don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah.
Friends of McLaren, they're just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alonso obviously has incredible driving skills, and he's a veteran in of the grid, one of the oldest. Well, he's been driving the longest now anyway. So it's interesting to see, obviously, that he's able to push that car to the ability that it really shouldn't be. It is a very midfield car again, and he's pushed it very well. So if they do end up giving a slightly better car, even just by a little bit, it'll be interesting to see where they can end up taking that car, and what might be able to be done with it. On the other hand, if they carry on with the trajectory from last season, we might end up with them lower on the grid.
sorry. To be honest, at the beginning of the 2023 season, I believe that he can catch Max.
Oh, wow.
So, but after, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't really know what can happen. I think it will be a surprise.
I mean, yeah, there's not much information on the car either. There's not much to go off of.
Maybe after the livery reveal and everything, we'll be able to say stuff, but as I'm not an engineer, I don't think I'll be able to say anything. And even if the car is the best car ever, if the drivers can't find to drive the car correctly, not that they are not good drivers, but can't find their way with the car,
Mhm.
it can be, even if the car is great, it can be a
Yeah. Do you want to move on to Alpine
yeah. Let's talk
then?
about Alpine.
I think with them, well, the first thing is they don't really have a team principal, so they've got a fill-in person who's sticking there for the season. And we've both seen the rumours that obviously both Pierre and Esteban have opened up themselves to moving to other teams, and that doesn't show much faith in not only their team principal but obviously the team continuing into this year.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say about Alpine, because I should as a French be all for Alpine, but I can't bring myself this low. I mean, no, I just can't, because once they got rid of it, they got rid of Cyril and Renault. I started to see, we started to see the team go just down and down and down and down. And I had hope last year when Pierre joined. I think it was last year. Yeah, it was the first season with them both. I had hope because it was a French team, two French drivers. I was like, yeah, full French. And no, just I just wanted to say, no, I'm not French anymore. No. Because what was that season?
It was something.
I hope next year will be great, but we can't expect miracles. I mean, we can't be delusional every time. That's not possible.
No. Did you want to add anything to that, or? Okay. Well then, next is Williams.
Who?
I think with them, I don't know if you've seen this video, but their team principal James Vowles was, well, I mean, where do I start? To sum it up, he basically said that he doesn't care about the 23 and 24 seasons, and possibly even the 25 seasons, and this is the chance for their drivers to basically crash and destroy the car, and to test it all out. And I mean, just thinking of that is really just, I don't even know where to start with that. The fact that he's just like, and I get some of the reasoning behind it. He's using it as like they're using it as a meter. Like, if you're crashing all of this and we're using so what's, that they get a gauge of where they are. But just the fact that they're not really caring about the results is a bit.
That's just a weird thing to say, because you have two drivers, and it's like saying, off, I don't care what you do, just put the car in walls, and we don't care. The car is not good and we know it, but we don't care. We don't want to improve it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they, to some extent, obviously they can't exceed the budget, so they don't want them to destroy the car completely. But I think that, we saw it last year that they've put a lot of faith in Sargent to perform again. We didn't know if he'd get re-signed, and I've got nothing against him, but there were a few accidents, and I think a few, and I think it's interesting. I think that is really putting to shine the attitude of what they're saying, if they don't really care about these two seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, and I agree with that. They should give him another season to improve himself a bit. But after this, that he said this, I don't know if they can go lower on the championship. So I don't know. I had no words, because I didn't see it and I didn't heard it, but I don't know.
it's really hard, I think, for Logan to be a rookie this season because of what Oscar did. Clearly, Oscar was amazing. He's just, in terms of points, is just under Lewis Hamilton. So it's amazing for him. And I think it's hard because we got many rookies that didn't score points on the first year. And just because he is in a bad team and it was against Oscar this season, he got just so much. I think he got 8, we can say it, because people on the internet, they're not kind. And I think, yeah, it's really hard. And from what you said, I wouldn't mind seeing Williams going low, because if you don't care about the car, let the other go up. I mean, I wouldn't mind see us somewhere else than at the last position.
But yeah, I mean, it is difficult. Like, I mean, as much as you want them to care about the car, if they're so focused on the future of the team, the next regulation change, 2025 season even, they're just, I think, put their focus so much on that they're ignored or are ignoring these current seasons. And I think that, as you were saying with like Logan, I agree, it's definitely difficult for him to be a rookie in this season because, as you said, I mean, Oscar did incredible. He's done his rookie performance, obviously, in the modern era. I know we talked about Hamilton, but even then, I mean, that was a complete anomaly because he got, what was it, 108-9 points in the old system, which is about 250 points in this current system, which is ridiculous. And obviously he was fighting for the championship in his rookie season. So just putting him aside, Oscar has done the best that you really could have expected of a rookie at the moment, and especially with the increase in the amount of tracks that we're doing and all of these sorts of calendars and the heat, especially things like Qatar. I know it was a first race for a lot of people and the heat was ridiculous, but still, it being our first season, you're still not adapted with everything in F1. You've not got the strength that some of the other drivers have and the being adapted to the heat. So they both did a great job.
Yeah, and Oscar was really great doing that in the McLaren car also. But
no, I agree.
Logan was not that bad. I mean,
no, he gets too much hate.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's not here because he's not good. I mean, you can't go and be into F1 and stay all season because we saw Nick and not being great. You can't say, I'm in F1, but I can't drive. No, it's not possible. So,
yeah. I mean, he's proved himself to get here, so
yeah.
It's
and he also has Alex next to him.
Yeah.
Which is also good. So it's definitely hard.
Yeah, you're right. He's got Alex.
Alex does something with that car that should not be done with that car.
Definitely.
No. Right, what about AlphaTauri?
AlphaTauri.
Oh wait,
was
sorry, VCarb.
Yeah. AlphaTauri was a mess this year. Because it was so hard to check on the points because we got Nick, who got kicked out. Poor Nick, because it was not that bad.
No.
Then we got Daniel, who got injured. And so we got Liam, who scored points.
Yeah, 2 points.
If I'm right. He scored points. And then we got Daniel back.
I mean,
season?
I want to see more of Liam. Liam proved himself so well last season. So I'd love to see more of him. But I mean, just by the fact they've changed their name to VCarb, I know that's the abbreviation, but I'm not saying the full thing. And I refuse to call them at any point during this season Visa Cash App Racing Balls or RB.
Oh, no.
So VCarb will be how I refer to them. It's not a good image to start their year off with a name that everyone hates.
Yeah, because
I mean, even Steak was better than that. I'm sorry, but
that's what I
even
was gonna
Steak-
say. Steak got so much hate, and then came Visa Cash app Racing Bulls. What the heck is the name? And Steak is not that bad after all.
No.
Because even the logo of VCarb is horrible. The
Oh,
colors are horrible, and Steak is good because it looks a lot like Minecraft.
Now can unsee it. But
Yeah. The gamer in me just Minecraft.
I don't have a lot to say about their car. I really can't tell what's going to happen. It doesn't look good from where we're standing, although I do feel like Red Bull have obviously and VCarb have hinted towards the fact that they're going to have a very similar car to performance as Red Bull, which, I mean, if that happens, put my hands up, I will be shocked, very shocked. It would be nice to see, though. I've talked about how I do like Yuki, and I think that it'd be great to see him in a car that can perform. I think he's got so much potential, but he's been stuck at AlphaTauri, now VCarb, for a long while, and it doesn't seem like with Danny coming back there's going to be any room for him at Red Bull, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, I just don't see him being able to move into another team at the moment. So having an improved car for VCarb would be great, just to see how he's able to perform. He obviously scored a few points and showed his potential, and I would love to see more from him.
He even led. That's how we say it. He led a race.
Yeah.
For like a few minutes. 90 minutes.
One of my highlights from that season.
Really, it was. But I don't know. But I don't know about you. But I don't see him in Red Bull with Max, because the two characters, like angry people, I don't quite see them both side by side.
I can just imagine their race engineers just hearing the swear words piling over the radio, just sitting there listening to them both.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that would be fun to watch, but just for one race.
I'd like to see him move, if not to somewhere like Aston Martin, or somewhere there's just a bit more midfield than what we've currently got.
Yeah, that would be cool. Aston Martin, yeah, would be nice.
Maybe he can join Pierre at Alpine, if not.
Yeah, that would be fun, but I really wish for Pierre to leave Alpine, but
So how about Steak?
oh my god, that name.
I'm calling him Sauber at this point.
Yeah, Sauber is great. I don't know what to say because I don't know what to expect from them.
No, it's a bit of a blind card, them. Although I do want neon green on their car.
Yeah, but we know that their pilots, at least Bottas, can do better. We know that. We don't know about Joe because he has only been to Steak, Alfa Romeo. But Bottas, we know can do better.
Definitely.
So if the car is better, obviously it will have better results.
And this is the part when you say it's not just the driver, the car.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I talked to a friend earlier this week. I mean, yesterday when we had the news about Hamilton going to Ferrari, and she's Italian, and she told me, "Oh my God, that's it. We have our championship," because she is in love with Charles, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is our year. This is our time." And I was like, "No, I'm sorry to break it up to you, but it's not because Hamilton's here that the car is gonna drive." I mean,
yeah, he doesn't build it.
If we go to a pit stop and there is no tires, it's not Hamilton's fault.
Don't. Not the Nope tyres. I'm still in pain over that.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, it's not always the fault of the drivers.
Then our last team is Haas.
I love them. Sorry. No, I loved Gunther, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and with him going out,
I still can't accept it.
I mean, I just don't know what Haas was thinking. He goes, I mean, he literally said himself, "Oh, I don't know why we aren't performing this well. So I'm going like that's why they've not re-signed Gunther, and now they've put a new team principal in, and said new team principal has said that in Bahrain they expect them to be 10th place as a team, and they expect them to be at the back of the pack. So literally the team principal themselves has said they expect them to be last on the grid, nothing from them. Like he's got no hope in the team himself. And the thing is that it wasn't the team principal that was doing this. It's the fact that they have much less, significantly less staff than everyone else, and funding and financial. So it's just a bit of a mess over there. With I mean, they're not going to improve if their owner decides that they're not going to put more funding and staff in, because that's not the issue.
yeah, that's the real problem here. Oh my god, I can't believe they got rid of Gunther. When I saw the news, I was like, it was the same for me as Carlos leaving Ferrari. I was like, no,
Exactly.
no.
As I said, I still couldn't. I just can't, because he was my favorite team principal, and after I saw it, and it's like, what? He was the only one who. Oh, how can I say it? So he was the face of it. The only thing.
Yeah.
That.
He is. I agree. He is the face of Haas, and they've just got rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, lately they've gone rid of a lot of people because, okay, Binotto was a good one to get rid of. I loved Binotto, but Frédéric Vasseur.
But I think we can say that he wasn't the main problem.
No, clearly, but Frédéric Vasseur, I have faith in him. He's French, I have faith in him.
He is a golden retriever team principal. Like he's just, I can't find anything to hate him for, because he's just the cutest little, like he just smiles, and he just seems like a happy little chap running around doing his own thing, and I love it.
Yeah, this is it. They got rid of Binotto. They got rid of Cyril Abitboul, and now they are getting rid. I'm losing my English, of Gunther. What are they doing?
I still miss Cyril.
Yeah.
He'll forever be the team principal in my heart.
Clearly, hearing him speaking English with that French accent gets me every time I watch DTS. Because I don't know how he does it. Because even here in France, we don't have that much of an accent. I don't know. But that was funny to me to just watch. But I miss him. And we are gonna miss Gunther.
I was gonna say, moving on, I know we've talked a bit about some drivers, but moving on to just drivers in general, is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you think is worth pointing out?
No, because it's in the contract.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me is that I did briefly mention it, but Piastri, I think that he will do much better this season. He's got more experience now with tyre management and just general race experience that will really help him. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I mean, if he gets his win before Lando, possibly. It's sad truth, but that guy is allergic to the first place spot.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that. Have you seen the video recently of him? I don't know what it was. I think it was a karting race, but it was in the snow or something like that. I've seen a video of him, and he is literally on the second place podium again. And I'm just thinking, you really can't win. I'm sorry for him, but
Yeah, I think it would be a curse.
yeah, it's like
That one
Charles and the
day,
Monaco curse.
yeah, it will have to break it one day. I hope soon enough because, yeah,
I mean,
I
he's incredible driver. Sorry.
I can see. I believe in him. He will win this season. I, he
I mean,
first
yeah.
coming. I, I'm praying for him.
I'm
he
crossing my
has it.
fingers.
He has it in him to do it. It's just
It's just
that
a curse.
obviously there is something. He gets really unlucky whenever he gets close to winning. It's something. It's like Charles' whole unluckiness, but it only occurs for Lando when he starts to win. And it's just it is a curse. But I think he'll get there. He's got the talent. He's definitely got the drive and ability to do it. But it's just whether situations are going to allow it.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but speaking of drivers, I have a few that I put on my bingo cards and that I want to have a podium this year. I put some wins that will, I think, not happen because Max is here. But I just want a Yuki on the podium. I want Lance. I know I'm delusional. I want him on the podium. And I want Alonso on the podium back. But I don't know about you if you have like a few that you want on the podium. That's your dream.
I mean, for once, I would love to see Yuki on the podium. Just not going to happen with VCarb, I don't think. I mean, just purely because of how long he's been without a win, I would like to see Hamilton get a win on the podium. It'd be nice for him as well, signing off with Mercedes, getting a a final win with them. And then, who else would I say? I think I would probably, well, I mean, if it happened at Monaco, even better, but obviously Charles, love to see that from him.
For me, it's not a driver. For me, there's a golden podium because in last season I waited for it and always just almost. I want to this free driver to stand up there together. Is Lando win? Just please. And and third is Charles. But I don't know. It's almost like just a little bit. No, because there was Carlos winning, but Lando just the second. And of course, Charles wasn't there. So I just hope my golden podium one time. Yeah.
You know who I'd love to see now you say that though is like all three on the podium together. It will never happen, unfortunately. I mean, if it ever happened, I don't know what I'd do. It would be insane. But I think I'd love to see, obviously, the 2019 rookies all together on a podium. That would be incredible.
That would be so cool. Oh, yeah. I want a slogan on the podium. Could it be? Oh, Joe, even Joe. I mean, they deserve it. They don't have the right cars. But, I mean, everyone deserves it. Which one from the two us is that never got a podium? Is it Kevin?
No.
Magnussen got a podium on his debut, didn't he, or something?
No.
Or season.
They say he also cursed because always just maximum was the fourth place, I think.
Oh,
It's
right.
Kevin,
Yeah.
And Nico got a podium already.
Yeah, I think Nico's definitely got
But I mean,
I think no. He
the
was
one that didn't got, I want on the podium. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, with those two, it's so difficult. I'm just like, which one's done it and which one hasn't? Gosh, I need to relook over their driver's stats now. I'm gonna think about this all night.
I think it was Nico. And in DTS also they said, I don't know, he was so close in one race, but of course he got the fourth place. But I think I remember Nico was it, but I don't know.
I'll have to check. And just to maybe finish, I don't know if you have anything to say, but he's not a current driver, but I would love to see Sebastian Vettel anywhere. I mean, I want to see him.
His little bees in Suzuka. Oh my gosh. I really, really would love to see him back, even if it is at his beehives in Japan.
Yeah.
He was so cute. Just the pictures of him in the race with the flags going like, waving him around. Oh, I loved it.
He was my first favorite driver, and I want him back so bad.
I just need he was iconic. He was great. I mean, especially Red Bull Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
You know. I think the bit that we all want to talk about, contracts.
Contracts.
Where do we start?
Do we start about the obvious, Lewis? Even though we talk about it in the winter break podcast, maybe we can talk about the consequences for the other drivers.
Yeah.
And what happened before, because we didn't talk about Charles and Lando's contracts in the last one.
Yeah. So yeah, starting with the obvious then, we've got Charles and Lando have extended theirs. Undefined dates, which is always interesting for both. I mean, there's speculation, but who knows how long they're for.
It was so clever, I think, from McLaren to sign Lando, because without a doubt they would have proposed him that seat.
Yeah,
I'm sure of it. And even though he loved McLaren, I'm maybe 95% sure that he would have gone to Mercedes, because it's a clever choice with what you said, the 2026 regulation, or 2025.
Yeah, 2026 they change. No, I agree. I think it is like they were very smart to sign him before the season started to carry on, because he would have been snatched up by another team, whether it had been Red Bull showing their interest. I mean, we've seen Christian Horner show a little bit of interest into Norris. So whether it had been there or whether it had been the Mercedes seat with Hamilton moving out, I don't know, but I think there would have been interest.
I don't know. I think McLaren heard the things that Red Bull wants Lando and say, hold my beer. No. Just, no. I love it. It's an amazing move.
Yeah. It was really smooth, I think, to do.
Yeah, and you've got Perez as well now. Obviously, talking about Lando going into Red Bull, you've got the Perez seat as well. That, I mean, not necessarily will he be leaving Red Bull, but highly likely that that's going to be taken up by someone else.
99% sure that Perez is leaving not just Red Bull, but Formula One. I heard a rumor, I don't know if you heard it, but I heard a rumor about Checo being interested into Formula E.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that would be a great change of, not really change of career, but, change
switch,
of...
yeah.
It would be really interesting for him, but who to replace him?
Yeah, and I think the thing with that as well, is if you've got as you said, he's leaving Formula One. That leaves, even if people do shuffle around into seats, that leaves an empty seat in Formula One. And I also think, moving on with that, I don't think both Haas drivers are going to get their seats re-signed. Whether it be both of them lose their seat or one of them lose their seat, I don't think both of them are going to end up back in the same.
I'm pretty sure they're both losing it because
It was good.
Gunther was holding them. He said, and I watched that in DTS like 20 minutes ago before the podcast started, him saying that us is a big family and everything, and we don't know what the new team principal think. And it's not that I don't like the drivers, but it will be great, I think, for them to change.
Yeah, I mean, they're both dads anyway, and not that that changes much, but I think that both of them have their commitments and everything like that, and it would be nice to see some newer drivers go in. And I talk about newer drivers while we've got Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton both still on the grid, which are both older. But I think Hamilton's never going to retire at this rate, and Alonso's still going strong. So
Alonso's still a rookie, so it's okay.
Yes, he's still in his rookie era. But I think those two drivers, that frees up 3 seats. And I know Haas has interest in Ollie Behrman. I've talked about him a lot before. I absolutely would love to see him in there. I mean, I would have loved to see him move to Ferrari at some point, but with Hamilton's new contract, that's not going to happen. So that was a very sad also realization, as much as it was like, oh, Hamilton's going to Ferrari, this is really great and interesting. It was like, oh, that means that Ollie's never going to get there. Well, he might at some point, but not in the foreseeable future. But I do think that I'd love to see him. Also, Liam Lawson possibly in one of these freed up seats, whether it's back in Alpha or V-Carb.
Oops.
And Daniel goes into Red Bull, whatever it is. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about these ass seats. Ollie Behrman is a really great choice, and I'm just gonna bring my nationality here again. But Théo Pourchaire, that won last year championship.
Yeah.
That would be a pride to have him along.
I definitely think he's on the cards, though.
I really think so. And if Victor Martins does as good as he did last year, as he was the rookie of the year for Formula 2 and everything, I'm sure he can maybe squeeze in.
Thing is, as well as Albon, I mean, I'd love to see him up in a better car again. And I know that there's been rumours of him being offered a contract with Red Bull, but honestly, I think he was done being a second driver for Max. And I don't think that he'd take that again, because it wasn't a pleasant experience for him. And so the only option I could see of him getting into a better car is going into that Mercedes seat. But Mercedes are on an ego strike at the moment, where they've just been knocked down because Hamilton's left. And I think that they're not going to sign someone like Alex just because they need someone big, which is, I know the rumours have been about Alonso going over there.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are even saying about Vettel going back, which is utterly ridiculous. But if it happened, I'd love to see it. But I mean, I would love to see, I think the logical option for Mercedes and the best option for them would be to sign Albon, but I just doubt that they'll ever do it, just because it wouldn't get them the attention that they needed in this moment, especially after everything that's happened. So as much as I'd love it, and I'd love to see George and Alex as teammates, I just unfortunately don't think it will happen.
So, yeah. Who do we think?
That we see these rumors about Alex and the 3 years in Red Bull, and some people say Carlos will go to Red Bull, but I would really happy, but I don't think, because if he really will go to Audi in 2026, he won't go to Red Bull, because it's not usual thing to contract for 1 year. So it would be sober, I think, that for that 1 year he will waiting for Audi, but I don't think Red Bull will give only 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, what I think would be really interesting, and this is going to be a little chain of like my thought process, but throwing it really out there, let's say Alonso gets Mercedes, which again, I'm just throwing it as the baseline to start this. You've obviously got an Aston Martin seat free. I think what would be interesting, we know both Alpine boys are looking elsewhere. I think it'd be interesting, maybe Ocon moving into Aston Martin. I think him and Stroll together would be an interesting driver teammates. And then you've got an empty seat at Alpine, which I think would be interesting to see Yuki move there, and then you get Pierre and Yuki back together. And then the empty seat in AlphaTauri, I think would be nice to see Liam get. And then Danny moves into the spare Red Bull seat, which leaves another seat empty, which I think would be good to see maybe Theo in. And then possibly one of the Haas drivers empties out at minimum, and then Ollie goes in. And that would be my thought process of a little change around next year.
I don't know if you saw, there is another rumors. There are a lot of rumors going on at the moment, but Bottas going back to Mercedes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they liked him because in a way he was very obedient to their team orders, which I think is appealing to them. But who would be their first driver? Because they've had Bottas for ages, but George is now their new little driver, and I don't think George would like being demoted again.
No, George being second driver again.
Yeah, I don't quite see it happening. I mean, it's a possibility and I wouldn't throw it off the cards, but for some reason I just can't see it happening with them because he wasn't the one to leave. They replaced him, so
yeah, but
we can say it's impossible after this.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying nothing's off the cards.
And it would be weird to see Alonso there, because that's the same thing that if we my God, my English. It's like if Bottas was there, it would be first drivers, both of them, and George. Where is George? It's weird. You can't offer a second driver seat to Fernando Alonso.
I mean, as well, when Hamilton first started with Alonso, you saw their relationship as teammates, and Alonso was not having any of it with the team orders and things, and those two fought for themselves. And I think, again, Mercedes aren't one for, like, I mean, Hamilton didn't particularly like team orders very much, but I mean, it feels like they're either going to pick someone who's got a similar personality to Hamilton to be that first driver, which would be Alonso, in my opinion, or they're going to want someone who's just going to listen to them to make their lives easier, which then possibly Bottas would be on the table.
But will Bottas be as obedient as before?
I don't know. I mean, he reminds me of, like, he's very nonchalant. Like, he's I don't know how to put it well, but he's just calm and unproblematic, and I don't think I could see him being that, like, aggressive. No, I'm not going to follow your orders. I think that he is too nice for that. And as much as it pains me to say, because I'd love to see him do well, I think that it's just unfortunate in the sense of he's very nice and calm and doesn't want to get into those arguments and dramas. In a way, it's like Raikkonen, but if people did, like, if people took advantage of him, whereas Raikkonen just did what he did and no one questioned it. If Bottas started doing that, people would question it, and he doesn't want that drama, in my opinion. It just doesn't fit his personality.
Yeah, I agree. I was just thinking, I don't want that, but what about Alonso retiring?
Ooh.
I don't want that. I
mean, I can't see him retiring. I don't know what it is, but he is clinging to F1. I mean, he took his sabbatical and then came back. He retired and then returned as a rookie. He's just, I don't know, maybe he'll retire again and then come back again. I can't see him leave the sport.
Yeah.
If it will happen, we definitely will have
Yeah.
the season of all the time. So I just can't see it. But yes, of course, one time he will, but not now. Just can't. It would be too much for my heart. So please don't do this.
Yeah. Oh my god. And my brain is always thinking of a lot of things, but speaking of Aston Martin, this season we heard a lot about Lance Stroll and his family, his mother, more like it, that wanted him to quit. What do we feel about that? Because personally, I don't like that. I'm a huge Lance Stroll fan.
I mean, for me, I know people give him hate because obviously he's in a seat in his dad's team, and all of this sort of stuff to do with that. But I do think that, first of all, having your family decide if you're quitting, like, it's your decision. You shouldn't be pressured into it by anyone else. Obviously, if you don't get a seat, that's a different situation. But if you're deciding to leave, that should be your decision and your decision only, because it is their life, their passion, their sport. I do think that it's difficult with, obviously, as much as I have nothing against Stroll, there is a difference and a gap in performance to him and Alonso. And so there is the question that begs to differ if he is going to stay at that seat. I know there was rumours about Lawrence Stroll selling his part in the team, and then where would that leave him? But again, those are things that he doesn't get to control, and I think that if he is choosing to leave, that should be his decision and his decision only.
Exactly. I think the same. And he's not that bad driver, and the hate that he gets is just put a shadow to it. So it's kind of, for me, he's not.
I mean,
haters.
I mean, yes, he's done things that maybe he shouldn't have done. I mean, obviously, there's videos of him like doing the pushing of the staff member and throwing the steering wheel. Yes, those are things. But Vettel said it in the interview where they asked Hamilton about his language towards another driver. They are in a sport where there is so much adrenaline going on, and not defending his actions, because no, it's not right to push another person or do those things. But in those situations, you're on high ends, you're going to swear, you're going to react, you're going to be annoyed and cross, and to criticize people for those reactions is not right. And I mean, as long as he understands that what he did in that situation was on the high ends and he doesn't do it again, then I don't see why people should hate on him so much for it.
Yeah, that's what I always say to people when they ask me why I like him. You know, people are always shocked when I tell them that. But he has a lot of pressure on his shoulder because he is the son of the guy who owns a bit of the team, and he has his seat because of that. And in fact, I don't think it's that much true, because you can, we saw it happen, but money don't makes everything.
No.
Because like we said before, this is not only the driver, this is the car, but this is not only the car, this is also the driver, and the car doesn't drive itself on its own. And in the beginning of his career in F1, he got podiums.
Yeah.
He got results. And that is not something you can buy.
No, and you've got to think about as well the pressure that puts on him as well, with like he's got to live up to these standards because everyone's going to think if he doesn't perform well that he's only there because he was bought into it. And so that in itself has got to be so stressful, because you feel like, I mean, no offense against Sargent, but you look at Sargent, he's not performed the best, but people aren't going to question it because his dad's not one of the owners of the team. And so he earned his seat in everyone's opinion, and he's got there. Now, Stroll has performed better than Sargent has, but because his dad is team principal, not team, well, imagine if he was team principal, that would be interesting. No, but because his dad, again, has stake in the team, it's put down to that instead of his own talents, and anything that he does achieve is always put down to money rather than. So he's in a horrible situation.
It's the same, like so don't forget this, that he's also like kind of like Sargent, like he has Alonso in his side, in his team, so you can do it like, oh my god, I will be better, because the people won't say you are better because you have Alonso on your side as a teammate.
I really would love to see him in a team on his own. Not on his own, with a teammate, but not with his dad. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Like on a team that no one is controlling what he's doing, and no one can tell he's here just because he bought his place. I would really love to see him and prove people wrong.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I mean, no hate towards Lando either, but he also, if we're looking at people who have paid into F1, like Lando's dad put a significant amount of money in for Lando to join McLaren, to test drive, to start his career off there. And yes, he earned his space there because he was talented and because he was like, so he didn't pay his way fully into the seat, but the money helped him get there. And no one criticizes Lando. No one goes, oh, he's only there because of money or because his dad's a billionaire or these sorts of things. But that's because he is a good driver who doesn't have his dad on the team. And in the same sense, I don't think Stroll deserves.
Yeah, but he gets the hate for other things.
So. Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't get hate. Trust me, it's not nice. But I think, and again, no hate towards him. But there are similar situations in the sense that they both come from very rich backgrounds, and Stroll just gets excessive hate.
Yeah, but if we, and that's why I can't agree with them and can't accept what they say, because all of them need to be kind of rich to be here. So it's not only him. So I don't know why we like, oh, it's a new thing, and it's just because the money, they all has the background.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few drivers on the grid that have really come from poor backgrounds.
Yeah, we have Ocon. I know that I'm not fond of him, but I really love his backstory. I saw so many YouTube videos because, as he's French, he is in a lot of French YouTube videos, and he speaks a lot about where he's from. And even though I don't like how he acts, I'm not fond of him. I really love the way he got his way in Formula One, and I'm really impressed that he got here and got this podium in his win.
Yeah, it's like him and obviously Hamilton, everyone knows that was a similar situation. And I think but that's the sort of thing, there's very few. Oh, sorry, what was that?
I just say Albon too. If I
Yeah. And like there are very few that come from those sorts of backgrounds because it is so difficult to get into the sport without the money. And I think people, again, as we were saying, criticize Stroll too much on that sense.
Yeah, I don't really read what they say about Stroll anymore because I think it's just stupid to say that since, like you both said, they nearly all come from rich backgrounds.
Yeah.
Their dad just don't own the team.
Yeah. I think we've done a lot on contracts. If there's anything else anyone wants to add quickly, or
no, I don't think so.
I think I had just a few questions that I put on the end as well to think about. So if we go over those, I think those are quite a nice thing to end it off on, just some quick fire questions and what we think. So the first one was, who do you think is going to get the most DNFs this season?
Ooh.
Sorry, but the first name is Sargent for me, but I just hope he won, but for me it's him.
For me, as much as I love As, I don't have big hopes, and it's gonna play between Nico and Kevin for me.
Yeah, I mean, when I thought of the question, my first gut instinct was Sargent, but I have hopes that maybe he won't crash as much this year. I think an interesting one to throw on the table is either one of the Ferrari boys, because the cars just break down all the time, but they would be more DNSs than anything else, or Perez, because he's crashed a few times last season.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, I would say Sargent or Charles, but as a Ferrari fan, I don't want to say him. So
not the formation lap. It was so sad.
My god, it was horrible.
The hydraulics didn't even last one lap.
Yeah, no, that's. But I think you're right for Checo. It can happen. It's either that or he does a great season because he wants to prove that he's capable of doing it.
Yeah. The next one was your top 5 to finish.
Okay. Thinking about it.
Hard. To be honest, I don't know. Just obviously Max.
Yeah.
I think, and my hope, it's Carlos and Lando, but delusional. But, Charles, I don't know, because we can see it if Carlos is so good and did it well. Charles won't that be good, and the opposite way. Yeah, it's because of the understeering and oversteering cars. So I think that's the point a little bit, if not the whole reason, but they can't make or build a car that will be good for both of them at the same time. So or Charles or Carlos, but I hope Carlos will be there. So yeah, Lando and Alonso as well, I think, from the previous season. And I don't know. This was 4, no? No. Yeah, Checo, of course.
Yeah. Are we talking our hope and everything, or realistic?
I think a mixture of both. I think obviously we're naturally going to be slightly biased, but I think realistically as well, it can't be too unrealistic.
Okay. First is Max.
Yeah.
That we can't say otherwise. But I think if the car is really great, Lando could be. Then I would put Checo because we know the car is gonna be great. Then either of the Ferraris. I as well would like for it to be Carlos, but I wouldn't mind for it to be Charles. But yeah, if it's Carlos, it's great. And if the car works well for Norris, I think we can put Oscar.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. See, obviously Max. Yeah, I'll have to agree there at the top. I think if we do see what Horner predicts in a bunching up of the pack at the top, it would be interesting. I think Hamilton was really quite close to getting Perez towards the end of the season. So on the wish that hopefully there's a bit more competition this year, I'm going to put Hamilton as my second place. I think Checo's going to have to go third because, again, Red Bull are just too dominant for, I think, anyone else to try and close that gap. I would put Charles fourth, and I would say it would be a toss-up between Lando and Carlos between that fifth place. I think Norris has that hope if the car does perform well to fight with some of the top teams. But I think that, again, Ferrari do have a favour towards Charles. So logically, if I'm putting a pick up between one of those two to be fourth, it's going to end up being Charles.
That's kind of quite of what happened last year because I have the season recap right in front of me. And if we forgot about Alonso, what you said is almost what happened last year.
Oh gosh, I'm just predicting the year again.
It's just that you put Hamilton instead of Perez.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's.
I don't
it's
obviously have much hope for change this year.
I mean, the Red Bulls obviously would be on top. It's just let's just hope that the cars are gonna be great.
Yeah.
The other ones.
Okay. What do you think the biggest shock of the season will be? Now, this doesn't have to be a driver. It can be, I don't know, like Imola getting flooded last year. It can be something like that. Is there just a random prediction out there?
We can't put Hamilton out of the way.
That's the hardest. I don't know because my standards now after this Ferrari Mercedes thing are too high. So I don't know what would be more shocking than this. I don't know. I don't have any idea. After this,
Season hasn't even started yet and we're already blown away.
Clearly. Oh my god. I was thinking that maybe it would be McLaren being on second position on the World Constructor Championship would be the biggest surprise. It could happen if the car is as great as the end of last season, and even a bit better. Let's hope. And the Ferrari and Mercedes are staying what they are right now, and we don't really hope for that, but we know that can happen. I think it would be the biggest surprise of the season.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm not wishing this to happen at all, but I do feel like there's going to be some sort of fireball crash this year. Not exactly Grosjean level, but I think that there will be a very bad crash this year. And I also do think that there'll probably be two drivers involved. I just have a feeling that we're getting towards that point where there's a lot of high stakes with everything that's happening with contracts, and people are going to be so desperate to prove themselves that we're going to end up with people pushing so hard that we're going to get a severe crash some point in this season. Now, I don't hope for this to happen, and I hope I'm wrong, but I just have a feeling that something might happen.
I can feel it can be happening.
It can really be happening because I put on my bingo card Esteban against Pierre in Alpine, and I really think that could happen between them because the tension is going up, 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 and they both want to have a seat in another team, and they're gonna fight for it. And so, since the cars are not really great, we can say that if a big accident happens, that can be between both of them. I really don't hope either, but and really don't hope it's Grosjean.
Yeah.
Grosjean, sorry. Let's not do it the English way. Not that level because.
Yes, I apologize for butchering the pronunciation of a lot of these names.
It's really great. It's the same way I say Leclerc instead of Leclerc. As I know, it's not pronounced Leclerc, but I always say it like that.
You hear all these commentators though, and some of them say it so badly, so I don't feel as bad when I hear how some of them pronounce it. Like obviously Vettel at the beginning, they used to pronounce it Vettel, and like,
oh my god, that's the way we pronounce it in French. We pronounce it Vettel. So you might have heard some French.
But yeah, no, some of the ways they say it, obviously, and then you had all of the presenters never knew how to pronounce if it's Charles Leclerc or Charles Leclerc, or like everyone was like, what is it? How do I say it? And
even him say it different ways, and I'm like, Charles, just be clear in your head. Your first language is French. Say it in French. I don't know.
When they were doing that video, he was like, they were talking about their middle names, him and Carlos, and it was like the first time he said it, he said Charles, and then he paused and redid the name, and the next time he said it, he said Charles, and I was like, gosh, you've like, it's a 5-second gap between when you started talking and where you are now.
I mean, so yeah, and there was pronunciation when Joe got there for the first time.
Oh yeah, Jew, wasn't it? There was a lot of Jew.
I didn't know how to pronounce it first, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen because I don't want to mispronounce it. But the way they pronounce it,
yeah, some of it like hurt deep down when everyone was going Jew, and I was like,
oh my god, it's horrible for them.
Right. And then the last one was, what do you think the best race of the season will be?
If we can repeat what we did in Singapore, and I really hope it will be, but
I mean, we need to bring Liam back then to crush Max out in qualifying.
Yeah, I think it's a great one. I was hesitating between Suzuka because I really love it, and Monza because it's Ferrari, and I don't know, it's one of the best track I think we have right now.
I mean, before February the 1st, my answers were different. Before February the 1st, I was going to say it would be a toss-up between Silverstone because home race, like I love Silverstone, and then Monza because it has one of the most amazing atmospheres with just like the Ferrari banners and everyone, like Monza 2019, one of the best races. But I think now the whole Hamilton Ferrari situation's happened, I think that Abu Dhabi is going to be the best because obviously last race for Hamilton Mercedes, last race for Carlos at Ferrari. It's going to be a lot of high-end emotions, I think, and a lot of questions solved and answered.
And we don't know everything.
So I will, after the race, I will go back to my bed and cry.
Clearly, because we don't know everything. We know Carlos leaving Ferrari. We know Hamilton going to Ferrari, but we don't know who else living and going back and forth. And so, like you said, it's going to be an interesting race because I think it's going to be a lot of drivers' last race in their actual teams.
Yeah, there's just going to be a lot in it. With so many contracts ending, maybe possibly a lot of drivers' last race in Formula One for a couple of them.
Actually, I get goosebumps. Oh, God.
Yeah. So I think in general that will end up being the best race for me, just because of how I think raw in emotion it's going to be and how much it means to a lot of those drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So no, I think that's covered all the topics. Is there anything we missed that you want to go over?
No, I don't think so. I think we did great. And it's gonna be a lot of editing. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening and see you next time.